And welcome to Today's Info Video Bites. We have Varun Khona today from Tourlandish, and he has some interesting offers for us. Let's get to Varun for it. So Varun, I know that you were Tourbox and then you became Tourlandish. With that story, you can also tell us what Tourlandish does.
So Tourlandish is essentially a marketplace for travelers to discover and book local experiences online. What we do is that when you travel somewhere, apart from your transport and your stay, the reason why you travel somewhere is actually to discover that place and to experience what that place has to offer.
Right.
What we do is we work with all the local people who provide experiences that are of certain value to a traveler. We aggregate them on an integrated technology platform, and then we bring them on board on our marketplace, and consumers can then discover all these activities, but not just discover, actually be able to book them online on our site. Which makes the whole process quite seamless for both the consumer and the supplier who actually provides these services.
Right. Varun, I also remember one more thing. You were part of, some pitching sessions as well, Rahesh, Murthy and Alok, etc. So, what was the experience like?
I was a part of this fantastic TV show called The Pitch on Bloomberg TV. Essentially, it was a business competition where 10 entrepreneurs would pitch their idea to VCs, and their metal would be tested over a series of rounds. So it was an interesting opportunity for us, and I had a ball of a time. Got to meet some really interesting people, got to learn a lot from our peers, even from the investors that we were able to meet, pitched myself against the best brains in the country, and felt really good to, consistently do well in that show. It was just one of those mind-boggling experiences that, and I'm happy to make use of the opportunity that came along the way.
So let's take this as an investor pitch, right? And let's take some serious questions into consideration.
Sure.
What is the current revenue that you're clocking, and what is the market share that you're chasing? If you can give me some numbers.
Sure. So the marketplace, the consumer marketplace, is essentially not live yet. We are currently in closed beta, and we'll be going live sometime in November end. But what we have done is we have gotten some revenue to sort of, as a proof of concept for validating the idea behind what we are trying to do. So we have currently hosted experiences in about 12 countries, and we are sort of almost doubling that in this month. So the idea is that, we want to go after the global market. We believe that this space needs to be disrupted, and it can be disrupted on a global scale. So it's a big opportunity that all of us are going after. And hopefully, if we are able to do what we are supposed to do, then I think we are looking at something really interesting coming from this.
So do you have any benchmarks that you set? Let's say in terms of this is the market size available. This is the amount of this is the size that we can service as of today. Anything of that sort.
Sure. So there are two ways in which we look at this, right? So one is from a numbers perspective in terms of what is the revenue that we can reach and what is the market size that we're looking at. So globally, this is about a $200+ billion industry, tools and activities, which essentially means that at this point in time, on an offline basis, there is $200 billion worth of cash being exchanged between the traveler and the local service provider. So essentially what we are trying to do is bring this entire transaction online, bringing in the seamlessness and the effectiveness of online as a distribution channel to this particular segment. So it's a huge market out there, and even if we are able to make a small dent where we have less than 1% of sort of total market share in this space, then we would essentially be a multi-million-dollar company, which is saying a lot about the kind of scope that we have here. So we are not too worried about the kind of market share we'll get, because whatever small number that we are able to achieve would essentially be a big number given the size of the market. What we're interested in is how many cities and how many customers can we reach out to. So the simple target that we have in mind for over the next 3 years is to reach 200 countries, which is essentially covering the entire globe in the next 3 years. And we honestly believe that that's a very achievable goal for us, because over the last 6 months, without any resources at hand, with just a team of 5 people, we've been able to scale it up to 12 countries without stretching ourselves too much. So we have found a funnel, we have found a model that really works and that can really be replicated and sort of scaled up. And we just intend to kind of keep working on that and reach out to the entire world as quickly as possible.
All right. So when you said the offline leisure market that you're talking about, or rather the local experience market, was around 200 billion. Yeah. So when you said that, were you looking referring to the global market, or were you referring to the Indian market?
That's the global market.
All right. So if that's a global market, do you have any idea of the size of the Indian market? Because that's something that you would start with. Am I right?
No, so actually we have gone global from day one. So it's a bit of Skyscanner's story. So Skyscanner is a meta aggregator from Scotland, and their home market was really small. So they're one of those companies that was pushed to innovate right from day one, because their market was not at their home and they wanted to kind of do it globally. So we've kind of tried to follow their model as much as possible. We realize that India right now needs a lot of there are a lot of other infrastructural related things that needs to be done for this sector to actually make sense in India, both in terms of value of the industry and in terms of the mechanics of how the industry works. We are at a fairly nascent stage and the opportunity is not big enough. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to solve this at a global scale, and we hope that India in the next 2 to 3 years would reach a level where it makes sense for an aggregator like us to come here and actually provide services.
So when you talk to your talk as an aggregator, do you actually look at just the leisure, the entertainment local entertainment kind of a market, or do you also look at local cuisines, experience of staying with the local, any that kind of an thing as well?
So essentially the way we look at this is travel is a combination of different components, right? So one is transport, the other is stay, and third what we call is a local experiences bit. So that would essentially involve tickets to museums, attractions, it would involve hiring a guide, it would involve going on a tour, and so on and so forth. So all the local amazing experiences that actually help you discover that place, which is the reason why you went to that place in the first that's the fundamental reason why you're actually visiting that place. We try to tackle that as much as possible. Cuisine is something that's really interesting. What we currently have on our platform are a lot of food tours and cooking classes. So if you're going to Bangkok and you're interested in Thai cuisine, then we have multiple Thai cooking classes available on our platform that you can actually book, which are these local experts that are celebrated chefs in Bangkok, that you can actually kind of book a 2-hour cooking class with them and be able to learn how to cook a Thai class. And now I think that's a pretty cool thing for a traveler to actually go there and figure it out. So we are looking at cuisine from that point of view. I guess there is some value in what we can do in terms of restaurants, but having said that, it's a totally different space and the mechanics again are very different. So it's something that probably we might look at a few years down the line, but at this point in time we're restricting ourselves to tours, services and guiding and guides around those sort of couple of segments is where we're concentrating.
All right. So when you look at the the entertainment bit of the entire local experience exercise, what part of that in let's say a package that you recommend somebody who comes to your site, what part of that, what percentage of that is actually your revenue, and what is the efforts that you put into it?
So one quick thing here is that we are the antithesis of package, right? So a Thomas Cook or a Make My Trip would keep selling you the 7 nights, 8 days packages, and we are saying that, well, we live in 2013 and the only way to travel actually is to travel independently on your own, and the internet is a wonderful tool for you to be able to use to get to do that. So we are the antithesis of that. We break the so-called package into components that make sense for the traveler. So if you are a traveler and you are going to Hong Kong, you want to buy a Disneyland ticket, you want to visit Madame Tussauds, you want to go on a tour to Macau, or you want to do hiking in the Simsha Shui Mountains close to Hong Kong. So in all of these things, we don't package them together. It's individual activities sourced directly from the end supplier. Now it's up to you as a traveler to decide what is it that you like and what is it that you want to do. We give you the facilities to see what price it costs and what time does it take and who is providing it and how good or bad the tour is. But we leave the last minute choice to the particular consumer who is coming on our site and making that decision. Roughly, if I have to give you a number, there are two metrics that are important here. If you have spent, let's say, 100 rupees on a tour to Hong Kong, which includes your flight and your hotel and so on and so forth, so about 30 to 35 rupees is what you would spend on your local experiences. So that's the pocket or the segment that we go after. And in terms of the revenues that we make, if you are spending 100 rupees with a tour operator, we don't charge you a single penny over and above that. In fact, at a lot of times we discount it to a large extent, and you actually help you save money by booking on our platform. And the way we are able to do that is because we get a commission for every successful sale that we make with our supplier. So this commissions can range somewhere between 15 to 35% depending on the contracts that we run with the supplier and the geography that we are catering to. But yeah, it's a fairly high margin industry when you compare it to the other verticals in travel. And the reason for that is because it's not been distributed online, and online as a channel is something that's fairly new to the industry. And we hope that being one of the early movers, we are able to make a relevant amount of difference and sort of meaningfully contribute to the growth of this as an online channel.
Yeah, so you're pretty passionate about all this. So there's one question I always wanted to ask. Do you actually visit all these places before you put them onto your portal, or is there any other way that you go ahead and do it?
So quite honestly, we would love to visit each and every place and sort of experience each and every item that's there on our website. But having said that, it's sort of impossible for us given the stage that we are in right now. We are a bootstrap startup, so we haven't raised funding at this point in time to be actually able to visit all these places. So currently we are live in 12 countries, and it's just nigh impossible for me to go to all those 12 countries. But what we have done is we have come up with a system which works wonderful. It's essentially aggregating multiple points of data which help us ascertain the certain quality of tour. So we aggregate data from different online review sites which are specific to a certain country that we are operating in. We take accreditation numbers from local rating agencies. We also work with local tourism bodies who give us their own metrics which help us again ascertain the quality of a particular operator. And then we crowdsource a lot of information. So a lot of information that we get is from Twitter and Facebook, where we scrape data for a certain tour operator and try and get what customers are saying about that particular tour operator, again to judge how good or bad his services are, and then accordingly make a decision. So we have used technology as much as we possibly can to reduce the expenses of actually having been at the destination, and try and sort of get internet to work for us and scrape the data from multiple sources to give us that concrete number which helps us determine whether that guy should be on our platform or not.
The last question I have for you actually is, what are the technology and business challenges that you're facing if you have to scale from the pilot mode that you are in to something that's totally commercial and viable?
Sure. So there are two technological challenges that we are facing. One is on the supplier side and one is on the customer side. So on the supplier side, what essentially happens is that the supplier needs to manage his inventory on our system, which means he needs to manage it on a seat-to-seat basis. The only way that he's able to do that, and these are fairly small companies with absolutely limited IT adoption. So majority of these companies are small tour guides who will themselves be out on the tour throughout the day, and they wouldn't have time to actually update this inventory and update the content and update what's happening and what's not happening. So what we need to invest in at a lot of time is coming up with tools like a mobile app for suppliers, which will help them kind of quite quickly and simply able to update the number of seats that are left, and so on and so forth. We also intend to build a full-fledged office cum reservation system, which means that they can manage their entire office operations using our software, and we intend to keep this free because as long as they manage inventory on that system, we are getting that inventory and we can try and monetize that inventory as much as we can. But we also want to help them manage their business better. So we want to give them tools which will help them manage their time, manage their tours, and manage the quality of the tours that they offer in a better manner. So the challenge here is, how do you ensure that the software that you're giving to them does not cost a bomb to us, because we are not charging them a penny for doing this. So that's one challenge. Second challenge is, as a consumer, from our research, what seems to be the case is that travelers love to be in the destination and try and figure out what they can do, which means that if I'm today right now standing here in Bangalore, I just want to open up my mobile phone and I want to open an app which will tell me that this is what I can do in Bangalore right now, and I can be able to book it and move. And that's what travelers really like. But what that means is, the challenges are that you need online data roaming, you need a way to reach the customer, and you need an app which actually is able to pull inventory from these guys on the last minute, because most of these guys have 24 hours lock-in periods, which means that you can't book something in a short time. So the challenge there again is to find a system that which will help the supplier update it in real time for the next 24 to 48 hours, and help the consumer actually see what is available in that next 24 to 48 hour window and be actually able to book it. So we want to try and go as close to the actual delivery time of the experience as possible, and that remains a fairly sort of complex technology problem that we're trying to solve as we speak.
That's very interesting. So yes, so the next time you're going on to holiday, you want to know what the local cuisine tastes like, what the local people look like, and what the local hospitality feels like. You got Tourlandish for you. Thank you, Varun.